inside.
You're a child.
Remember the time.
What?
What does it like a guppy?
What's a guppy?
Like a fish.
You want to look more sexy?
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand. Okay, come on, let's get started before the camera dies.
Black Queen. Failure ain't an option. You looking clean, clean, clean. Failure ain't an option.
Hey guys, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here with my fiance, Jonathan. We did a video a little while ago and we kind of breezed over the question, how did we meet? Why did we break up? How did we get back together? How did we know we were supposed to blah, blah, blah? Because we kept breezing over it because I wanted to do a more in-depth explanation. I feel like it's not just like something you know, there's layers to the story. So we're just gonna go ahead and tell you guys how we met, how we got together. It's very raggedy. There's one thing I'll say. You can chime in.
One thing you'll say what you have to say.
I just want to say we are not perfect, okay? When Christian couples, we bring up like Jesus or abstinence or whatever, everyone's like, oh my God, you guys are blah, blah, blah. Like, we're not perfect. Wait, that makes it sound like we clapping cheeks all day. I just want them to like think we're just so perfect because we're not.
We're still at work. Jesus is doing a good work inside of us. We haven't figured it all out, but we're trying to get better, be more like Him every day. So that's the extent of that, That's
yeah, I guess, yeah. I just don't want you guys to think like, oh, we're the perfect couple, and I mean, we're perfect for each other.
Only keep Jesus on a pedestal.
Yeah, facts, and that's not me, and that's not him.
Follow us as we follow Christ.
Yeah, you always have like a
Bing
little
bang,
bars.
bing bang, bow.
Do you want to start with?
Okay, so the beginning. We met each other at a church camp that both of our churches put together. So I went to one church, she went to another church. I was also just like a little kid. She was a little older. I was like 15 or 16, I don't really remember.
Yeah, and I was like 20 or 21.
Yeah, so one of those two ages. And we just met each other. She was, I'm trying to sound this out, it doesn't sound creepy.
I know!
But,
it really sounds creepy.
No, but it really, when we first met each other, it wasn't romantic at all.
No.
But it was kind of more so that, we were just in similar spaces, and we became friends.
Mm-hmm.
Before anything else, the young guy, always had a crush on her, but she, of course, did not give me the time of day at all. Started a good friendship, and like even to the point where she's calling me like little brother. When I was in high school, her helping me with girl problems, all that good stuff. Like it was really just like the nicest, wholesomest.
It's very wholesome, I promise.
And I think that it was really good because it set the stage for us to have the relationship that we do now.
Yeah.
Just the fact that we were good friends for so long before anything else was added onto it. So yeah, that's the beginning.
Yeah, when I first met Jonathan, at first it was just like, oh, he's such a cool little kid, like he's gonna make a great guy for somebody one day. I did think he was cute, but really like that was never a thought in my mind when we first met. I want to say we met when you were like 15, because like around when you turned 17, that's when like some things started like sparking in my head, and I don't think it took a year. Should we do the calculation?
It was 15.
It might have been 15.
Fast forward, so I was in high school. I was doing my own thing. Like I really like, I had a crush on Jess, but like it wasn't like I was checking, like I wasn't trying to do my own stuff as well,
We didn't live by each other either.
Yeah, so she lived in Port St. Lucie, which is like an hour and a half away from me in like Broward County in South Florida. When I'm about to turn 18 and go away to college, I was thinking, well, now that I'm an adult, maybe, just maybe, there's a way that, if you're feeling it, that we can, try this dating thing. So I asked her on a date, and she said yes. Just about to cut in any second now. and she said yes. So my grandmother lives in Port St. Lucie, so I drove up to Port St. Lucie, so excited. I'm like, this is gonna be the best. We're gonna go on this date, and like, we're gonna get married. Like, I had all these ideas in my head. Like, I'm like, this is it. And the day before we were supposed to go on the date, she texted me, and she said, yeah, I had a bad dream. I'll talk to you later. I was like, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? And I'm like saying like 100 text calls, like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And then she hit me with the, I feel like God's telling me that we shouldn't go on this date. Like, I don't really see it happening. And when I tell you, my little heart broke, like, shattered to like a million pieces.
It's not funny, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I remember going back home, and it was my dad's birthday, like crying to him on the couch. She said, this guy's so
You know, I didn't know you were here already though, or there already.
Yeah, whatever.
It's like an hour and 45-minute drive. Okay, but let me tell you what was going on in my head. So we met when he was 15, and we talked a lot, like text messaging and stuff, for like 2 years before it like started to click in my head, like, dang, I don't know, something's weird happening here. But like, we really didn't get to see each other that often because, like I said, we lived 2 different areas. We had 2 separate lives. We went to 2 separate churches. Like, we didn't see each other often. It was mostly like we just really got to know each other. It went from like little brother to like, oh, he's like my best friend. And I can see how it seems weird. It's like, because by then he was like
grooming me.
I know. It's like, ew. It just sounds so gross. It does sound.
No,
weird.
it really wasn't wholesome and innocent.
It was really like so innocent. But I remember telling my cousin Carrie one day we were driving home from church, and this is when Jonathan's 17, and I was like, crap, I think I'm starting to catch feelings for him. I'm like 22 and he's 17, and I'm like, this is weird, man. I don't know about that, whatever, because I knew he liked me, but I was telling my cousin, I was like, this is not it, like, this is weird. But I never ever told him that. Like, I made sure I kept it, whatever. But I do remember, like one time he kind of asked me like, oh, how do you like me, or how do you feel, or something like that. And I remember telling him, I'll tell you when you're 18. And I used to always say that because I just felt like 18 was so far away. I'm like, 18 is never gonna come. I'm never gonna have to tell him. I never have to face this like realization or actualization that I actually like him. It's never gonna happen. 18 is never gonna come. By the time 18 comes, I'll be married and whatever. So when he turns 18, like, I just got cold feet. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
She couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. I was just so worried about what people were gonna think, what people were gonna say, how it was gonna look. I'm like, bro, I'm 23, he's 18. Like, I was in college, he was just graduating high school. I'm like, this is not, I'm better than this. I can do better than this, than that little kid. I did like you though. But when he turned 18 and he asked me on a date, at first I couldn't say no because I'm a people pleaser. At least I was more back then. But when it came down to like actually going, I was like, come up with an excuse, make up an excuse. I'm like, oh, the God excuse. Like, you can't fight.
That's the classic.
Yeah, the classic. I had a dream.
I feel God telling me.
I had a dream. Yeah, I feel God telling me, speaking to my heart.
Hey, comment if you ever said that I felt God telling me to do something that you know He didn't tell you to do.
Yes, yeah. But even though God did not tell me, He was right. I mean, I was right. It was right.
So let me tell you what happened next. So what happened next was I was at that point, like, I just got to college, and I'm like, you know what, let me just bury this like part of like my life. And I said, I need to take a step away, you know, from like our friendship or whatnot. And Jess was like, no, why would you do that?
We're not doing that. We're still gonna be friends.
Yeah, so she's like, no, we can still be friends. Like, everything's still fine. Like, let's just be friends. So we stayed friends for like another year, and I still like, I didn't bring up the relationship stuff, but I still had it in my, like, buried in here that like, maybe one day. But then like a year later, she told me that she was dating someone else. And that's when, for real, like, my heart like broke again. But that's when I'm like, all right.
Yeah, he was done with me.
It's like I love you, but I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go. It's okay. I hope you're happy. I hope you do, like, you know, that this the person is amazing. So I'm like, you know what? You know, I wish you guys the best, and I'm just gonna move on. I mean, and then I did move on.
Yeah, we didn't talk at all for like 8 months.
8 months or something like that. Maybe
yeah,
more.
that's the longest time we've ever, well, at that point, that was the longest time we ever went without speaking since we met for like the first 4 years or something. So yeah, he cut me off, okay? Like, it was done. Like, you did a good job. That's good, because most people can't do that.
It was mostly like out of respect for you,
the
relationship you were in, and like the other person. Like, it was just like, you know, like, God's gonna take care of her. I can go move on with my life. And it was tough. It was hard. Like, I still have those journal entries from that time saying, God, I don't know why you would take her away from me, but to your name be the glory. I still got the journal. I got the receipts.
That's so funny because when we get to a later portion, my journal entries were different. So yeah, I started dating someone else and I really thought like, you know, that was gonna be it. I honestly actually thought that God told me that, you know, we need to leave God alone sometime. God did not, he didn't tell you nothing. There are times when we think God is telling us something and we're just hearing what we want to hear out of like, we're rushing God's timing, or it's just really like a flesh. Your flesh is telling you something. But either way, went ahead along with that relationship.
Can I cut it real quick?
Yes.
I feel a bar coming. We might need to cut it. We might need to cut it out. But I feel like sometimes God leads us to places that He knows that we're gonna end up failing in, so that He could show us something that we wouldn't have seen if we weren't there before.
Do y'all see why I'm marrying this man?
That's good because yeah.
I mean, and like, sometimes like it might be like a relationship that you always wanted, and sometimes like He lets you have it, and then it blows up, and it's like, I've taught you all these things along the way now, you know. So. Yeah,
that's actually really important because that's gonna be really important. We're gonna get back to that because I feel like that happened again even with us. Keep that up here. So then that relationship didn't work out. Then I was just like, dang, I really messed up. Like I messed up with this one, and I thought he like hated me or whatever, because I remember I texted him one time. He was like, why are you texting me? Leave me alone. That hurt so bad.
I didn't say leave me alone.
It was along those lines, bro. You're just like, why are you telling me? I like was like reprofessing my love, and you're like, why are you telling me this, bro? Like, I'm good off you. That's what it gave. I just kind of went on about my business, and I think you actually reached back out to me like maybe 2 months later.
So basically what happened, it was best friends day. Or Friends Day or something,
you know,
like that.
Instagram and Twitter be making up days.
Yeah, it was like Best Friends Day or something, and I was posting all like my friends from all walks of life or whatever. And by this point, I already knew that she and her former boyfriend had broken up. Like, I figured that I'm like listing all these people that were so important to me throughout my life, and even though we didn't have that relationship anymore, or that friendship, I decided, let me throw her in there. And this probably explains a lot about our wedding list.
Well,
because you weren't in my life, but like
you throw them in there. You guys
played such a big role. So
he's a joke.
I mean, this is the reason we're together, is it not?
That's true. Look, shout out to God.
I included her in there, and then she reached out to me. She goes, I didn't know that you still cared about me, that you still talking about me, and that you still like me, you still love me.
First of all,
she reached out to me and said, like, it really touched my heart that, you know, you put me in that list.
Did you know that we were broken up?
Yeah. I don't remember. At that point, yes.
You had a motive.
No,
yeah,
there was no motive. I swear on everything. There's no motive, because at that point there had never been anything romantic with us. So at that point it was all that it was just in my head. That I thought that there was something there. And for you it was like, you know, I see you as a friend but not like that. So there was no motive there. Other than I think that'd be nice because of all the friendship that we had built up to that point.
Hey, shout out to Best Friends Day. If it wasn't for you.
So then I was at a weird space in my mind because on one hand, because very soon after that she told me all her feelings for me, and that was the first time she'd ever done that. And it was like one of those times when you had already let go, but then someone's telling you all you ever wanted like before. So like that, like in my mind, had me very confused, and like that is in a sense like the start of how the next 2 years went.
Yeah, horrible.
Confusion.
Horrible for me. Horrible.
For me too.
Basically the next 2 years we had like a situationship, basically. It was horrible, really. Everything that we told you guys not to do, we were doing.
I think for me, I didn't really know who I was, and I didn't really love myself. But I didn't know that yet. And I think you can't love someone else unless you love yourself.
Yeah.
Or you can't really love someone else truly unless you know yourself and like your identity. And if those two things are messed up, then your relationships are gonna be chaos. Our relationship was chaos.
It was chaos, okay? It was like it was like toxic, but like, how do I say this? Jonathan, he's a great guy, okay? And whenever he did something bad, he would actually feel bad about it. But like, our relationship was a little kind of toxic. Like, he would always tell me he wanted to be with me, and he'd always tell me how much he loved me, but we couldn't be together. Like, he wouldn't ask me to be his girlfriend or whatever, but I kept trying to play the game and like try to do things to make him want me more and all this stuff. Because understand, the first 4 or 5 years, he's always, you know, been coming after me, and he act like he don't remember this, but he told me like, you're gonna be my wife one day and blah blah blah.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, he was saying all these things, and then as soon as I decided, yeah, hey, I like you, I really like you, I can't hold it anymore, this is what it is, blah blah blah, then he's like, skirt, like, I don't really know about all that, let's just kind of hang out, and yeah, and then send you on your merry way. And he would always be like, oh, thanks for being my best friend. I'm like, is that what best friends do? Because
no, I was a mess.
He was a joke.
I own that. I own that. I was a mess.
Bad.
To be fair to me, I was very young and
okay, he was young. He was
I was like 20, 21.
When we started off, it was 20. We broke it off when he was 21.
And it was just like, I would do things and then I didn't really know how to deal with like the guilt of stuff. So it would end up becoming like a negative feedback loop. So I'd end up I felt so guilty and felt like there was no way to escape, and then end up doing something else again. And so it was like again and again and again, and then it was just chaos. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. So 2018, I remember Jess said, she told me, if this happens or whatever, like if we keep doing this for much longer, then we're gonna have to break it off. Right?
I'm trying to break off something that's not even on.
No, like we just have to call it. Like it's
Yeah,
just like
this
it's
is
not.
This is not it.
It's just not working.
Like we're not glorifying God. We're not together. We're hurting each other.
It's just not It's just not working out.
Yeah.
So she put a date on it. Like if it's not better by this time. So we blow past that date, like by 2 months.
Yeah.
And then I forget what happened, but I was just like, enough's enough. I'm calling it.
Yeah, he did call it. I was like, excuse me?
Yeah, because no, like I was like, this is just crazy. It was just too much. It was just too much at that point. And we called it. And so in my head at that point, so I just thought it's a me and Jess problem. Me and Jess, like, I don't know if guys have ever seen the movie, what's that movie that we talk about?
Oh, Hancock.
Hancock.
I always use
so
that.
If you ever see Hancock, it's like him and like the girl are like perfect.
His wife.
But every time they get close to each other,
Like they lose power.
they
get
power,
weaker.
they get weaker, it's chaos or whatever. So I'm like, you know what, even though like this is what I always wanted, I feel like we're just not meant for each other because it's chaos. So then I started seeing somebody else, kind of. So we basically broke it off, and then we kind of went our separate ways, ish. Like she was doing her own thing, I was doing my own thing. So I started dating someone else, and it was one of those situations where it's like, all right, that like the last situation with Jess, like that was toxic, that was this, that was that. But this situation is gonna be everything. Like it's gonna be peaches and rainbows. But I realized that some of the same patterns that I had in my relationship with Jess that I thought was just like something that having to do with our relationship. Like I was repeating those same things in this different relationship too. And that's when I realized that I needed therapy. I was the issue.
He was the problem the entire time. It wasn't me.
Well, yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
I was the problem.
I was a problem too, but yeah.
Yeah, I just realized that, and I think this goes so underrated that many people like bounce from relationship to relationship to relationship, and like the problem is always the other person. But like if the same problems keep popping up in every other person, then the problem might be, might be yourself. And so I started therapy. I started, to really realize that I was running to relationships, and I was running to girls, to women, to fill that place inside of me that God is really supposed to fill. And it was just like I had this deep insecurity that I thought that I could, fill with other people. And it wasn't until I realized that it really put me in the position to love for real, or to have identity for real. So that relationship ended up not working out. You can pick up from there.
What really did happen then, actually? All right, we had to take a quick commercial break because
we had to figure out the story.
And obviously, people always say all the time, "Oh, you don't have to tell us everything." I just want you guys to know we are not telling you everything. We're telling you the important things, but there's other things that happened, but they're not important to to the real point of the story here. So anyways, so his relationship was kind of over, and honestly during that time I started dating somebody else too, and we talked about him already, you know, the white boy. I had that little video, the whole blah blah blah. So anyways, while he was in his situation, I had officially moved down here to my first apartment, and we weren't really talking that much or at all really. He was aware that I moved down there, but like that was all he really knew. He didn't come over or nothing like that. So I moved in November, and then it didn't take long for after like that was over, it didn't take long for us to like, it's just the Hancock thing. Like we just came back together again, but it was so much easier this time because now I lived like 7 minutes away from him as opposed to an hour and 45 minutes. So I was down the street. So we started being best friends again. It wasn't as bad as it was before. We were friends. We were a little flirty, but we were doing all right.
We were doing okay.
Yeah, we were doing okay. Until it was Christmas Day. I remember I spent Christmas with my family, and then I had to go back home, and then he told me to like come through because, you know, everyone's at his house for Christmas. And then I feel like we like ended up kissing or something. Maybe, but I know you kissed me.
I don't remember that.
You did, and that's when I snapped.
Don't remember that.
I remember. He kissed me.
Don't remember that.
Oh well. He kissed me like it was a good night kiss. Like when I went home, he kissed me. And then when I got home, he texted me and said, "Thanks for being my best friend." And I was done. I was like, enough, enough. Stop calling me that, bro. Like, yeah, we're best friends, but like, I'm not gonna keep allowing you to just whatever. You can kiss me whenever you want. You're like, he bought me a beautiful Christmas gift. I'm like, what are we? What are we doing? So I was like, I told him, I was like, I'm like the queen of ultimatums, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't call it ultimatum. I'm a queen of like, I'm a decision maker. So yeah, I texted him and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Enough. Like we had a great day, but I was like, enough. So I was like, you either make me your girlfriend and we can continue living this great little friendship life. You can kiss me all you want, or we just end this here, because I'm not gonna, especially now that I live here, I'm not gonna get trapped in this cycle again. At this point, I think I was 28. I was 27. And I was like, we've been doing this for 7, like cut it. So he didn't even respond. He just left me on red for about 48 hours. Yep. And I was like, oh, damn. I was like, that didn't pan out the way I planned it in my head, so. Well,
one thing you guys like gotta know about me is that I can't really be pressured into situations. Like a lot of guys, like, if you use pressure on them, they just kind of just crumble like into your hands. But like if you use pressure on me, then I tend to kind of retreat to the point where I can think about what was said. Because even though she hadn't been putting pressure on me before, you know, there was always that implicit like inside pressure in my head, knowing that like that conversation was probably coming soon. So that
so you're just milking it until
no, I just didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just avoided it.
Well, then don't be kissing me then. Girls, don't let nobody kiss you up and he's not making it official. That's dead. We're not doing that anymore.
No, for real though. That's
real talk.
Important. That's important.
You have to make that decision and that was a constant thing in our relationship. You have to make that decision and be comfortable knowing that it may not work out the way you want it to, because it didn't for me right away. I was like, all right.
I think we're gonna really touch on that like greater theme a little bit. Yeah. I got that. Yeah. So I went to see my therapist, talk to some friends. And it was like, all right, I basically was asking them, am I in a position now where I'm healthy enough to enter into this relationship? Because when I first started therapy, I broke down to my parents, like in their room. It was very weird, like telling them that I hate myself. So like from there to like where I was now, like I'm like, has enough time passed where like I'm now healthy enough to really have a relationship? Like I knew that I liked her, that I probably wanted to be with her, but I didn't want to be doing the same thing that we were doing before, just under the title of. So I didn't know if I was healthy enough. Mm-hmm. But then, they're like, the people I talked to, like I could counsel, I'm like, let's do this. Like, it's gonna be okay, just do it. So then we started dating. December 27th, 2019.
We started dating and it was just good. It was good. I feel like we're great right now, and the dating, it was good. It was like a strong 7.5, or it was like a 7. I'll give it. It was a strong 7. Strong 7 the whole time. But even though we were good, I knew that something was still off, and I brought that up like a good amount of times to him. I'm like, I feel like you're still holding back. Like, you're not giving old Jonathan. And he always says like, oh, old Jonathan is dead. Like, that was a young boy. But I was like, you used to just love me more. Like,
young boy.
Yeah, I was a young boy, but like, I felt like you used to just love me more. And now it's kind of just like, we're finally here. And sometimes it's like, you know, better. Sometimes it was like a 7.9, but I'm like, something's wrong. So I remember we've had that conversation a time or two, but we were 8 months in, and I had told him something like that. And then like after I told him something like that, he's like, can we talk? Oh God, that doesn't sound good. I was like, wait, I'm just kidding, everything's fine. I didn't like that. I was like, wait, this doesn't sound good. So yeah, I mean, he came over and we broke up for a couple of days.
Yeah, because I was basically telling her that I do like her, and I do want to be with her, but there was just something inside of me that kind of felt like things were off, and I couldn't really put my finger on what it was. I just felt not 100% there. Like, I had anxiety. At that time I was experiencing anxiety all the time, like all the time, and just about the relationship as well. Not really knowing why, not really understanding it, just knowing that I didn't feel all there. Like, I didn't feel like, I don't know, because I remember one thing that my dad always told me is like, when it's right, it feels right. And I'm like,
it wasn't feeling right.
It wasn't feeling right. It's that I knew I wanted her, like, in my head. So a lot of times I was doing a lot of the actions of love, or I was trying to do the actions of love, but it wasn't coming from like a overwhelming flow of, you know, the in love feeling.
Yeah.
But I know I wanted her.
I feel like women, like, we know, you know, and you can choose to ignore it, or you can address it and then deal with it. But like, I just felt it the whole time, but like, I wanted to be with him so bad, and I was like, we worked so hard to finally get here. So I don't want to say I ignored it for 8 months, because we spoke about it every now and then. But like, there was that 8-month mark when I guess he had like a weird dream the night before, and then I brought it up that next morning, and he was like, all right, like, let's talk about it. So he tells me that. I remember us sitting on my couch at my old apartment, and I'm like trying to get him to break up with me. I'm like, just say it, bro, like, cause
But I didn't want to break up.
I know, like, he didn't want to, but I'm like, how am I supposed to carry on this relationship after you're telling me you're not, like, something?
My heart must go on.
I was like, no. He's like, I don't want to break up, but I'm just not sure. I'm like, in my head, I was like, we've been dating for 8 months, but we have been knowing each other. I know you inside out for the past like 8 years. What is there more to know? Like, I know there's always going to be more to know, but like, at this point, there shouldn't be this much anxiety or this much confusion. So I was like, I can't do this. I can't. So I started bawling, and I remember you said it was funny. I
No, because you had a serious face? She was being serious. I was
trying.
She's like, then it ran away, then like slammed the door.
I was trying so hard not. I can't stand you. You hurt me.
We got back together after that.
It was like 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah, so, you know, and when the conversation that I had, when I brought to her, I was like, to be honest, I do know I want to be with you, but what I can't tell you that I'm sure of is that if I want to marry you, or like if this is going to lead to marriage. I said I don't know that for sure, but I do know that I want to be with you, and I want to keep, you know, figuring it out. So then I asked her, I'm like, and like, that's all I can offer you right now. Like, I'm not gonna feed you lies on like my emotional status. Men, you gotta zoom in on me. Never lie. Always tell the truth. Even if the truth is hard, I feel like telling the truth is always better, because it gives the other person, it's more fair to the other person, it's fair to yourself.
I will also say, unfortunately, a lot of times, men, if you do tell the truth, there's a good chance she's probably gonna still stay because she thinks she can change your mind. So
I mean, but that's not on you. But that's no longer on you.
I'm saying that, and it's not on you. So you're probably gonna win. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. Let's just see where it goes. Yeah, we're like, oh, it's gonna be fine. We're gonna figure it out. And even after we got back together, it was not fine. We didn't figure it out, because 5 months later, we were right back in the same spot.
Yeah. So five months later, Jess was like, you know, I need to talk to you. and we like end up in the same spot, having the same conversation. So, but it's just more serious now that because like we've been dating longer, and like we had, I think that portion of our relationship, like after the midpoint, it got better. Like I feel like for me, I think it moved up to like an 8, but it still wasn't. I mean, it was the same for her, I don't know. But I think it got a little better, but it still wasn't, you know. We both knew that something was off. Like I had, still having anxiety all the time. Not just about the relationship, just in general, but that too. I did, like she said, I did never get that time. Just me and God did like figure some stuff out. So like it just wasn't working 100%. So like to outside, it seemed like we were, you know, mostly fine.
Yeah.
So then we had this conversation.
Well, it was a God thing again, because we had gotten to like a really heated argument. It was a Friday. We were having a good day. Went to go play tennis. We were just having a good time, and then we got like something happened, and we got into like a really big argument. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I like went to Port St. Lucie for the weekend. Every time we like break up or get into an argument, I go home to my parents. It's not healthy, but anyways, I went to Port St. Lucie and we didn't really talk that whole weekend. I was kind of over you. I was kind of snitching on him to his dad, because you know his dad was our pastor, and I was snitching. Okay, I was like, look, your son is this, and this, and would you date your son if you were me, and blah blah blah. And I remember this Sunday I was coming home and we were supposed to talk on Sunday, and I asked, like, for real, if I was your daughter, I don't know if you know this, but anyway, I was like, if I was your daughter, would you, you know, tell me to give him another chance, or like to keep dating him? He's like, honestly, Jess, no. I was like, well, there we are. I was like, this is not gonna work. So, you know, I went over his house. He was acting real like happy, and like he was kind of in a good mood, but I was like, he must not know, because we about to break up for real. Like, I'm done. Because I was like, I'm just gonna ask him one question. I don't care about any of the other stuff. I'm just gonna ask him one question. If I don't get the answer that I want, I'm leaving.
She asked me, I'm trying to figure out, because we both have different recollections of what she said.
We do.
But in my head, what I believe to be said, it was, are you going to, like, basically, are you going to marry me? That's what I believe she asked. And I think the two different things that we heard is also divine orchestration. If I heard what she believes that she said, then I would have answered the question differently, and we might not be where we are right now. So I heard, like, are you going to get married to me? That's basically what I understood the question to be, and the answer was, I don't know.
I'm like, you're still giving me, I don't know.
So it's basically like, I mean, could I see it? Yeah, but do I know for sure that we're gonna end up getting married at the end of this? No, I don't know for sure.
So 7 months after our last breakup, I was like, I asked him, I said, can you see yourself marrying me in the future? That's what I heard. That's what came out of my mouth. He didn't hear that. And he said, I don't know. I'm like, okay, now we've been together for 1 year and 3 months. Know each other, it's like 8 years at a time. I'm like, and you still don't know? I'm like, this is ridiculous. No, I said, I'm out of it, bro, I can't. We were like both crying this time. It wasn't just me, we were like both crying. But I was really upset though, because I was like, this is dumb, like this is whack, I'm not doing this. I was like, if you don't know by now, you're never gonna know. So I was like, oh, this is obviously done. But even still in my head, I was like, yeah, we're gonna get back together. But anyway.
No, she didn't say that. Yo, she's capping. She was like in devastation mode.
I was still devastated, because I was like, what the heck, God? Like, you're not coming through. Like, you said something and you're not giving it to me like you said you were going to. Like, what are you doing up there? I was disappointed. I was really annoyed.
Yeah, but y'all can go and peep. She didn't release a video that entire like next like 6 weeks.
Yeah, I went on a hiatus for a good 6 weeks. I couldn't record. I was trying to, but my energy was so low, and I cried for like 3 weeks straight. I was crying every day. I didn't know, it was tough.
For me, it was really like a lot of frustration with God, cause it's like, she's who I wanted, and she was like, this is what I wanted. And like, I feel like there was just like a blockage in my spirit that I couldn't explain. That I couldn't like understand, couldn't explain, that like, it just wasn't all coming together inside for me. So it's like, I wanna be sure. I want it to be her. Like, and I'm like, God, why won't you just like kind of unlock like that lock that you have in my heart? And Then about 4 or 5, 6 weeks in for like a clinical rotation or something, I went to Atlanta, and this was kind of like my my pilgrimage. Like, you know how Muslims take the pilgrimage to Mecca. This was like my time away, my time alone in the wilderness. During that time, I had never been closer to God than like ever. Like that was the closest I've ever been to God. Where like, I was going to mountaintops with just my Bible, no phone or anything. I was going to parks and just sitting there for hours in silence, just trying to hear God and seek Him. And I think that time was divinely orchestrated, and that was something that I needed. If I didn't get, I would never be where I am now. But when I my first week in Atlanta, I remember praying, God, like by the time I get back to Florida, I want to have an answer. Like I want to know what I'm going to do. So like, I'm praying, God, please tell me what you want to tell me. Like give me an answer, yes or no. Like I prefer the yes, but I'll accept the no. So I remember the first week I went to the park and I was praying, and God, all I remember God telling me is that if you needed to know the answer by now, you would have it. And that like you came on the trip looking for answers, but I'm gonna give you me instead. Which was very annoying to me because like, yeah, cool, whatever, but I need the answers because the trip ends in, 3 more weeks at this point. Next week I go to the Smoky Mountains, and I'm climbing the mountains, like doing a hike, and I get to the top of the mountain, and I'm like, look at serene, peaceful, beautiful. I'm like, this is the place where God's going to answer. You know what I want. He told me nothing. He told me nothing at all. He just gave me his presence. That was it. And this time I wasn't really talking to Jess. I wasn't really talking to Jess at all.
At all.
So then, like it was like the last week I was in Atlanta. I was sleeping on the couch. I woke up and I just knew the answer. And I just knew, like, with peace in my heart, like wash over my spirit, like when it's right, it feels right kind of thing, like that Jess is that I'm supposed to be with Jess. Can't explain it, I expected it on the mountaintop, I expected it in the park, I expected it in so many other places, but like in the stillness, in the quiet, on the couch, that's where God showed up for me and let me know, like, she's the one for you.
Are you crying?
No, not at all. Not at all, actually. You can fill in some gaps too.
Yeah. So basically, it was we broke up for like 11 weeks. A part of me still did feel like we were gonna get back together because I was still holding on to what I felt God tell me like 3 years prior. But like as time went on, that feeling was starting to fade, and I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work. But even still, those 11 weeks, it was me and God. We were so close because I couldn't even get out of the couch because I was sleeping on the couch still. I couldn't even get up, and I was like, God, I just need strength for today. Like I just need strength for like another hour, please.
They don't wait on the Lord.
Yeah.
Renew their strength.
Man. And that song came out, that Wait on the Lord song came out while you were up there.
Yeah.
And I was like, that song was in the crib blasted. I was like, we will renew. I was like, come on, Jesus.
On the Lord. Shall renew.
Yes. That song came out like perfect timing. Like I remember when it came out, I was like fixing something in my house, and I was like, this song is for me right now.
That song came at the right time.
Right time. Like sometimes when you get a heartbreak, you're like, I'm never gonna recover from this. I was like, this feels worse than getting hit by a bus. It really feels like that in the moment, but God was really there for me every second. Like he helped me. He literally gave me strength for the next second. Like I couldn't see what was gonna happen like 2 hours from now, but he just kept holding me over. But it really did get better. So if you're going through a heartbreak right now, I know it might feel like the worst thing in the world and that your life is over, but I promise you it gets better. But it's only gonna get better if you cut off communication with whatever it is that broke your heart. Like we had to block each other on Instagram. We weren't speaking. Yeah, you can't keep like watching his stories or like, oh, I know he's going to be playing basketball at 7. Let me go there. Let the man go in strawberries. Like just let it go. Looking at pictures on your Instagram of you guys together and stuff, that's not gonna do anything for you. So that's the only way I healed, by just like removing him from my mind, like out of sight, out of mind. Even though he's still in the back of my mind, but it wasn't taking as much of a toll on me as it would have if I was still like trying to be in his space.
Well, then when I came back home from Atlanta,
that day was rough.
I drove straight from Atlanta straight to Jess's house.
Like 11:30.
Yeah, 10 and a half hours, like however long. But I drove 10 and a half hours straight from Atlanta to Jess's house. And on the way to her house, I made a playlist for her. Like I have a playlist series that I've been sending her from like the beginning. And I sent her the playlist, but I didn't say anything else. And she's like, ... what? And I said, open your door. And then that's when I was at her door. And then I told her, you know, like all the stuff that happened while in Atlanta. And that, you know, basically that I wanted to be with her and I wanted to marry her. And then I gave her some dates. I was like, you know, I can see April, I can see May, I can see June.
Yeah.
And then, so it was kind of just like all a God thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I mean, you guys, that's pretty much it.
That is it. So yeah, that's really it. Then we just got back together. And ever since we got back together, it's been a 10 for me, honestly. Has it been a 10 for you? I feel like people think I'm like holding a gun to your, like tell them it's a 10.
You know, so
Like,
that's, I think I'll leave as the final takeaway. Unless you had another final takeaway. All right. So what I'm going to say is that before we started recording this video, Jess was like, you know, I wonder if people are gonna think that I forced you, one, to get together in the first place, or two, to like marry her. And I want to say that that's not the case, or not how I felt. And just a message to girls and guys. I think so many of us settle, you know, for things that we don't want because it's good enough.
Right.
You know, that it's okay right now. Like things are fine. I don't want to be alone, so I'm not gonna go do what I know I need or say what I want. There's beeping right there at the top.
oh, it's gonna die soon. So wrap it up.
Okay, or necessarily say what I want. And I think that's just us staying stagnant. I think that we're gonna be we as people would be so much better off if we said what we wanted, and if the other person couldn't meet that need, saying if that's okay, and God's still gonna take care of me, even if this relationship is over.
Yeah.
Because like the same God that brought that good situation or that good girl or that good job or whatever to you is never gonna stop giving you or bringing good things to you.
Yeah. If anything, if you make a decision to like break up, just know that God has something better in store for you, or something more fits. What you have now, if it's not working out, just know that this isn't the best that you're ever gonna get. I know a lot of girls are like, no one's ever gonna love me, or this is the best, like I don't wanna let him go. There's something better. God's not gonna leave you stranded. And you have to be comfortable and okay with being alone. You have to be okay with being alone. I feel like that's where you can make the best decisions.
Yeah.
Like, you know, don't be too dependent on anyone or anything besides God, because He's the only thing that's constant. Everything else is gonna change. People are fickle, and it took us, you know, we had a lot of fickle emotions throughout the past 8 years.
It took us being, like you said, being alone. It took us being alone for us to finally get to the place where we are now.
We wouldn't be here if we never broke up. We would not be getting married right now. No.
Not at all.
No.
And if like the song says, and the Bible says, if He dresses the lilies with beauty and splendor, how much more will He love and take care of you?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I'm gonna be alone. Like it's good. Like I felt that same feeling too. It's gonna be okay. God's gonna take care of you.
So the battery's gonna die. So thank you guys for listening to our love story. I'm so grateful. I love you. Very grateful. Hope you guys were encouraged by this, and let us know if there's anything else you guys want us to talk about. Other than that, we're gonna head out. Bye.
Peace for Pia.
Peace for Pia.
Shout out my dog Pia. Shout out
Pia.
my dog Penelope. Shout out to
Get the name all now.
Shout out to Levi.
And the other two that are cooking.
The two in the oven.